Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks. And we have a special guest upgrader today. It's Gaurav Gulati.
Hello, I'm Gaurav Gulati. How's it going?
We're talking about, we're starting to talk about, this is the very first episode. We're upgrading the Modern Horizons 3 Commander Precons, starting with the Jeskai Energy deck. It's blue, it's red, and white. It cares all about energy counters.
I'm a little confused. You said Modern Horizons Commander deck? What is it? I don't understand how that could be possible.
We get all the toys all the time. That's the rules.
Yeah, that's true. We do. We get every toy all the time from wherever we want it from.
All right. Incredibly spoiled that even the modern sets, they're for us, baby.
Yeah, everything's for us. Yum, 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 yum.
Today we're going to talk about this Precon. We're going to talk about what comes in the box when you buy it off the shelf. And we're going to give you 10 cards you can add to it and 10 cards to take out to get it in peak fighting shape. We've played this deck. We've done our research. We'll break it all the way down. But first, if you want to pick up any of the cards that we talk about today, if you want to pick up any of the Precons or the sealed product from Modern Horizons 3, you can do so and support the show by going to cardkingdom.com/command. Card Kingdom has a huge selection of Magic singles and sealed product. They've got all of the Modern Horizons 3 stuff, especially when I'm shopping for a set that I know I'm going to buy a lot of singles from. I love shopping at Card Kingdom because I know I'm going to need 5 of this and 3 of that, and I'm going to want to buy as many as possible in one place. So when they arrive on my doorstep, they're all in one safe package. I trust Card Kingdom to package cards correctly and to make sure that the cards that I buy on the website are the ones that show up on my doorstep. There's a huge level of professionalism that just makes shopping for Magic cards online way easier.
Yeah, I also love their card grading accurately. Like if it's near mint, it is near mint. Like that is what you're paying for, which is fantastic, I think. Yeah,
we're Commander players. We're picky about what cards we get. Yes. You want the right version. You want it in foil. You want it in the correct foil. There's a lot of foils these days. And Card Kingdom knows their stuff. And you can pick up cards there while supporting the show at cardkingdom.com/command. And once those cards are in your hand, you're going to need to protect them, put them in sleeves, then in deck boxes, on top of playmats, into binders. There's a lot of different ways to store cards. Go to ultrapro.com/command for the highest quality Magic accessories in the business. For these huge sets like Modern Horizons 3, they have a ton of product. There's new like little binders, and there's big binders, and there's a ton of different playmats that you can get, including this really cute little puppy one in front of Gaurav. He's sparkly.
Look at that puppy. Woof, woof.
There's also Precons for all, there's also playmats for all of the Precon commanders. So today we're going to be talking about Satya. There is a playmat for Satya and for all of the other ones if you're into that, if you're a matchy commander player like me. We love ULTRAPRO over here, and you can pick up their products while supporting the show at ultrapro.com/command. Finally, you can support us directly by going to patreon.com/commandzone. All of our patrons get access to game nights, extra turns a day early. You get access to exclusive content at certain tiers like Turn Talk, where we just talk about the game we just played, the Turn Talk, the extra turns game that we just played. Specifically, not just a random game at the office.
Every game I've ever played. I don't do a 20-minute conversation.
We sit down and record it. We record extra turns, and then immediately after have a conversation about how it went, what we would have done if we had drawn one more card. If you hadn't killed me, then I could have got you.
Next time.
2 more cards deep. That's where I was gonna. It's that kind of conversation. So you get to hear people talk frankly about their deck and how it went, and maybe any changes they're going to make after this game. It's a ton of fun, and it's only available to our patrons. Plus, we shout out one lucky patron every single podcast episode, and this one is dedicated to...
Drumroll!
Lee Buckner.
Lee Buckner, you rock.
You rock, Lee. Thanks for supporting the show. Okay, here we go. Let's get into it.
Let's upgrade a Precon.
Yeah. Today, we're talking about the Creative Energy Precon.
Creative Energy.
We're going to add 10 cards. We're going to take 10 cards out. We're going to use a budget of $50. But first, we're going to learn about this deck, because you can't really upgrade a deck you don't know. So let's meet the face commander.
The face commander, Satya Aetherflux Genius is a legendary creature, Human Artificer, for 1 and a blue and a red and a white. That's Jeskai for a 3/5 with Menace and Haste. And the text also includes, whenever Satya, Aetherflux Genius, attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to one other target non-token creature you control. You get 2 energy, and then at the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice that token unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you attack with your commander, you can make a copy of any non-token creature you control.
Yes.
And it enters attacking.
Yes. Now that creature, this is sort of a pseudo haste. That creature does not need to be attacking with your commander. So that means the turn you play your commander, if you have a creature already on the battlefield, or if you play a creature afterwards your commander, you can just immediately make a copy of it. The Menace haste, which usually means you can get through earlier on at least, and we'll talk about the issues that the commander has with that. But that's generally what it wants to do, is make copies of valuable creatures.
Right. And normally with this kind of effect, we've seen similar kinds of effects on commanders before. You lose the tokens at end of combat.
Usually, yes. Yeah.
But Satya gives you a way to spend energy to keep those tokens around. You got to protect your non-token versions, though, because you can't copy the token versions.
Yeah. Exactly.
So this is cool. I think if I was building Satya from the ground up, I would be building with a lot of ETBs, like how these decks mostly are.
Yeah.
Value creatures, strong ETBs, maybe decent in combat too, so you can get some combat damage triggers in.
Yep.
And then you have some like incidental energy stuff to keep the stuff that's really valuable.
Exactly. Yes. And yeah, so basically, Satya is just a Aetherflux Genius that is basically making filigree versions of other creatures, and then if they don't like power that creature, they just kind of fall apart. Right. That's what's happening. Yeah. I kind of like to picture that when I'm building a deck. It's like, what is this commander actually doing in like the world of Magic?
He's like slapping together a model in hopes it survives combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, most of the time your token's going to die in combat if it's a value creature anyway.
Right.
So he only pays for it if it survives the first combat.
Yeah, exactly. This one's been tried and tested.
And now we can put some energy into it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's a rough draft.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so that's the face commander. Energy focused, but very aggressive.
Yes, very aggressive for Jeskai, yeah.
The backup commander is Kaith, Famed Mechanist. It's 1 blue, red, white. So again, 4 mana Jeskai. For a Dwarf Artificer, she's a 3/3 with Fabricate 1. Fabricate means when this creature enters the battlefield, you either put a +1/+1 counter on it or create a 1/1 servo artifact creature token. So Fabricate 1, it's 1 counter or 1 servo. If it's Fabricate 2, it's 2 counters or 2 servos. And then it says other non-token creatures you control have Fabricate 1. So everybody gets a choice of getting a counter or a friend.
Aw.
Always friend.
Little robot friend.
Definitely friend. Then she has an activated ability that says 2, tap, choose 1, populate, or proliferate. Okay, so she's working on like 2 different axes where it's like you can either make tokens or you can do counters or you can do a little of both.
Yeah. Now, namely, this commander or this card doesn't have any energy printed on it. It doesn't make energy. It does proliferate energy, which is something, but you could build a completely different deck that doesn't even involve energy with this commander if you wanted to. Yeah. So that's interesting. It's a very much a toolbox commander is how I feel. Like you can do a lot of things with it and you can build a lot of different ways. This commander does support the main commander. This card does.
Yeah, you can definitely see the synergy between the 2 commanders.
Right.
But the 99 does look very different. Like I would picture Kaith as more of like a blink deck that's like trying to get creatures to enter the battlefield multiple times, or even a deck that cares about +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
Whereas Satya likes the ETB stuff that Kaith likes, but wants to sit, is a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, there's a version of Kate where I was thinking about making like one that has impact tremors, the Perforos that deals damage on ETB, and then you'll go wide and attack for a bunch after you've done all this incidental damage. So it's a very different version of the deck, but you could build very different versions of a deck with this commander, very different ways.
The populate is very, very good with the face commander. Yes. You can populate those tokens that Satya makes before they die, and you get to keep those ones, whether you pay for them or not.
That's pretty good.
Doing some similar things, but definitely look very different from the command zone.
Yeah.
So those are the face and backup commanders. We're going to move on to the notable reprints in the deck. These are the ones worth $5 or more. The ones that you go, yes, I didn't want to buy that again.
Yeah.
And there's some very good ones in this deck. 8 specifically. Starting with a humdinger, it's Akroma's Will.
Woo-wee, Akroma's Will.
All the way up to $24. This is great and is a very aggressive card, so clearly goes along with Satya very well.
Yes.
Up next, sitting at $20, is Goldspan Dragon. When it attacks, it makes treasures. Whenever it becomes targeted, it makes treasures. He's a treasure boy. And then he doubles your treasure abilities. This is a very powerful card, and making a copy of it is okay. You don't get that attack trigger with treasures if you copy it with Satya, but you could... Nope, you can't even populate it because you can't populate treasure tokens.
Yeah.
It's a very good reprint. A little weird in this deck.
Yeah.
Up next is Gonti's Ether Heart.
Now, this is probably a card that should be in every energy deck if you're building an energy deck.
Definitely. This is a card that spiked in price recently with the Jeskai Energy deck from Fallout.
Right, yes.
It wasn't in that deck, obviously, because it says Gonti in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit into Fallout very well.
Yeah.
But it's all the way up to $17. Glad to see it got a reprint in this deck. Up next is Professional Facebreaker, a friend of The Office.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love that. The Professional Facebreaker. It shows up a lot in game nights and is quite good in aggressive decks. Makes sense with the Akroma's Will type stuff that's going on. This is sitting at $12. Then the board wipe of the hour.
Yeah, Farewell is in this deck as a reprint, and it is $9 now, which I think people have said this might be the best board wipe that White has currently.
Yeah, I mean, it is certainly an extremely powerful effect, and if you're playing Farewells, you're going to need one for every deck. So it's nice to have a reprint here.
Yeah.
The next one is Addercar Wastes. This is the blue-white Painland. Nice to see a spendy untapped land getting reprinted. It's currently at $7.50. Aetherworks Marvel, again, had a spike with the Fallout deck and is reprinted here. It's at $7.50, so hopefully will come down, and there'll be plenty for all of you energy builders from MH3. Finally, there's a $5 card in Legion Loyalty. This is the one that gives all your creatures Myriad. Definitely a good include for a deck that's trying to make copies of its creatures.
Yes.
Those are the reprints. There are 8 of them. Some very sweet cards that are good for your collection, plus some of the energy ones that if you're building energy, you do not want to buy individually.
Yeah. It's good that Aetherworks Marvel and Gonti's Aetherheart come in this deck, because if you're building energy, it's probably at the top of your list to put those cards in the deck. So glad they're in here.
For sure. We're going to move on to the total reprint value of the deck. A caveat that we often do is that the reprints that we're saying right now, the values that we're saying right now, are taken before this deck has been released.
Right.
So all of those numbers, of course, will go down, which is what happens when reprints are announced. But you can compare the reprint value of this deck to other decks that we've done at the same time. So it's not a literal reprint value. This is something that you can compare to previous Precons. One more thing, these decks are more expensive than Precons are often for sets. It makes sense for a big fancy set like this one. They're sitting at $65. A little bit more expensive, so we expect to see better value in it. And we're going to tell you what the value is in just a moment. The total reprint value of this deck is
$148.75.
okay.
That seems a bit low.
Yeah.
Huh. Especially for a deck that's pre-ordering at $65.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like 148 is fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's Modern Horizons, though.
I know.
That's like fireworks and champagne glasses, the big stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff to note about this number is this is only taking into account the value of the reprints at the time of recording. So there's only 57 reprints in this deck.
Yeah.
So it's only accounting for like 57% of the deck.
Basically, yeah.
And then there's 20 basic lands in the list, so it's like 77% of the deck. But there are 8 main set cards and 15 new cards in this deck. So a good portion of the value is coming from Modern Horizons 3 new cards.
Right.
And then, of course, the brand new Commander cards, which we never know the value of when we're recording.
Right.
Still, it is a fairly disappointing number considering the price of the Precon.
Yes.
If you pick up this Precon at $65, your bang for your buck value will be $2.29. So you're getting $2.29 worth of reprint for your $1, like a $1 American dollar spent. Which is fine, but it's certainly below what we've had in the last year and a half.
Yeah, that doesn't feel great, especially when you're paying an upcharge for this deck too.
Right.
So it's a bit disappointing. Like especially when I heard Modern Horizons were getting precons, I was like, oh cool, fetches in every deck, right? We'll put fetches in every deck.
Wouldn't that be something?
Ooh, why aren't they in here? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. I mean, 2023's like average bang for your buck value was $2.60, and that's across the whole year. And it's just like, it's lower than OTJ. It's significantly lower than MKM. And these are boxes that are priced at $40. So it's definitely disappointing that you're not getting the same like value quotient that you're getting in these cheaper products. I do like to give a little context for the set. This is the second lowest reprint value in MH3. It averages around $2.26 for bang for your buck. So a pretty low bang for your buck across all 4 of the precons. And it averages $167.69 in total reprint value. So we're below that average for sure. But it also has the least reprints out of all of them.
Right.
So we're juggling a lot of things here.
Yeah, a lot of asterisks next to the money stuff for this deck, at least.
Generally, I think this is worth it if you're building the energy deck. Like if you want a ton of energy pieces all in one place, this is a great deck for you.
Now, there was another literal Jeskai energy deck Precon this year.
That's true.
So it's
That's true.
Yeah, so compare the two, and I think they play very differently. Like obviously we're talking about the Fallout energy deck that came out a few months ago, and science, yes. So compare the decks. And there may be a version where you combine them two and make the best version of an energy deck, but as we'll talk about in a little bit, this deck plays very differently with energy than that previous one. So
I agree.
Yeah.
And let's get into it. We've talked about the deck financially. We're going to break down the deck mechanically, which means it's time to talk about the stats. Sick. All right, we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts, the categories that go into every single commander deck, help you get to know what the deck is trying to do, starting with 16 pieces of ramp on the high side, especially for an aggressive deck.
That feels good, especially for Jeskai. I know all 3 of the talismans in here, which is like fantastic. Great.
Yeah.
Do that. Especially for a deck that doesn't have green.
And with a 4-mana commander, it's like you really want the talisman to get your commander down a turn early.
Yes.
There are 15 pieces of card draw. This is great.
Fantastic.
Not all of it's repeatable, but that's totally fine. You got lots of ways to see new cards into your hand. There are only 5 pieces of targeted interaction. Pretty low, especially for Jeskai.
Yeah.
Not a lot of interaction. So I think that's telling you how aggressive this deck really wants to be.
Yeah.
It does contrast with the next number, which is 3 board wipes.
Yeah.
Higher than all the other ones.
Yeah. Which is interesting because as a combat-focused deck, you'd figure you wouldn't want as many, but now they are modal, like Austere Command is in here and Farewell, so that maybe it is like you remove the things that is most problematic to you and not everything on the board, but still, it maybe a little much, but...
Well, a 3's fine. I don't know. When I'm being that aggressive, I don't really want to spend my turns wiping the board.
Yeah, that's someone else's problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You wipe my board.
Yeah.
Up next is there's 38 lands in the deck. I think that's a perfectly solid number for what I'm building these days. I want to make sure I'm hitting every single land drop. 38 helps you do that. Then there are 20 basic lands in the deck. So 18 non-basics. And with the Addercar Waste reprint, you can see that there's some lands that are untapped and valuable.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to break down the deck-specific stats. These are the ones that just tell you how it's using energy and what sort of things the deck is doing intentionally.
Yeah.
The first one is making energy. There are 32 cards that make energy in this deck.
That's really good. That's awesome.
It's so much.
It's almost unexpected, and it's a lot. Yeah, I mean, so you would assume that they have a lot of payoffs for this energy,
Right.
which we'll get into, but you know that the energy generation is there, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge amount of your just like regular spells are adding energy. And that's not even including some cards that don't make energy themselves, but enhance how much energy you're making.
Yes, they double it or add one more of each or so on.
So you can make energy. Whatever you're making with Satya, you can keep it if you want it. It's yours. There are 11 cards that make tokens. So this we were looking more at like what synergies are there with Kaith and what are the strategies to go over the top. And 11 is interesting. It's not enough to really be committed to being a token deck.
Not really. It feels incidental to the deck, really.
But it is clearly a thing that has comes up a few times.
Yeah.
We said at the beginning that we expected this deck to be full of creature ETBs. So you immediately get that value when you make a token with Satya. There are 11 creature ETBs. So these are creatures with enter the battlefield triggers.
Yeah.
Of those 11, 2 are vehicles.
Yeah, now that's not a wombo combo. That's the opposite of wombo combo because if your commander, once that vehicle is crewed and your commander, makes a copy of it, it enters a battlefield and is no longer a creature because it becomes a vehicle, which means it's no longer crewed and it's already tapped and can't be crewed again and is already in the middle of combat.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do anything. You still get the ETB of generating energy, which is usually what those vehicles do, but it is kind of just like nothing. It's a big nothing.
It's very weird. Like the vehicles with ETBs only make energy. They come in, they make like, there's one that's with 2 and one with 4.
Yeah.
And then you pay that energy to keep the vehicle?
I don't understand. It's so strange.
It's very strange. We really expected this number to be higher. I think if like this deck was built from scratch, it would be 25 or 30 ETB abilities that you're copying. So that was a sort of shockingly low number, especially considering that both Kaith and Satya would like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that was curiously high that I just wanted to mention is there's a lot of attack triggers in this deck, including Goldspan Dragon, which we mentioned already. Attack triggers don't work very well with Satya because he creates the token tapped and attacking. It's not declared as an attacker, so you don't get attack triggers. Like if you copy a Goldspan Dragon, it's a 4/4 flyer.
Right. Yes. So it's a bit strange. Don't know why they built it this way, but in execution, when we played it, it doesn't feel great. Because you want to be attacking with your commander as much as possible.
Right.
As we're going to talk about a little later, but your commander is aggressive, menace and haste, get in there.
Right. It definitely says that this deck wants to be attacking.
Yeah.
Like all of the 9 attack triggers, for sure, your commander's an attack trigger. It says that this is an aggro deck, you are turning creatures sideways.
Yes.
But they just don't quite work together.
Yeah.
That being said, let's talk about the best cards in the deck. These are the ones that when they're in your hand, you know exactly what you're doing. You're like, I've got a real plan and there's a payoff coming for it. And this first one is a familiar face for energy.
Yes, famous Hall of Famer, Whirler Virtuoso. Remember that card? Just an uncommon, just a lowly uncommon that no one ever thought about. But anyways, this is a creature, Vidalcan Artificer. It's a 2/3 for 1, a blue, and a red that reads, when this card enters a battlefield, you get 3 energy. Hey, pretty good. Pay 3, get 3. Not bad. And then it also has the ability, pay 3 energy, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. And nothing else after that. It doesn't say once per turn, doesn't say as a sorcery, just anytime you can sink energy into this to make Thopters. And that is an awesome card.
Yeah.
Now, you always are looking for ways to sink energy into cards. And this is one of the best ways to do it. You make 1/1s whenever you feel like it, which is fantastic.
It's also really great with being copied, right? Oh, no, you pay 3. But you
get the ETB.
Yeah, you get the ETB, you get more energy, and you can sink it in and make blockers. This is a very aggressive deck, so being able to be like, oh, I'm being attacked by a huge thing, I'll just pay 3 energy, make a chump blocker, and block with it.
Fantastic.
Is great defense. Or on end step, you sink your 12 energy into it, make 4/4 flyer, 4/1/1 flyers, and then you can attack with in the sky for all your your professional facebreaker triggers or various other attacks attack triggers that are in the deck.
Yep, absolutely.
This says very clearly what you're doing with the deck.
Yeah.
And plus it curves under your commander. I like that a lot
Yes,
too.
we love that. We love that.
We also mentioned that there's 32 energy creators in the deck. So this is a great place to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next card is a new card. It's Localized Destruction. It's 3 white for a sorcery. You get 1 energy. Then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, each creature you control with power equal to the amount of energy spent this way gains indestructible until end of turn. Then destroy all creatures.
Yeah.
So this is a great board wipe for an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
I think most of the time you're going to be paying 2 is Satya's power.
Satya is a 3/5.
A 3/5.
Yeah.
You're going to be paying 3 because you really want to keep your commander on the board.
Yeah.
And then if you can copy something with 3 power, then you're in business.
Yeah, that's going to feel good. So this is one of the 3 board wipes in the deck, but this is obviously a great one because, like we said, the other 2 are also modal and selective, which is why they put these in here and made this new one. So this one's great.
Yeah, Kate's also a 3/3. Like, if you can pick one that lets you keep attacking, or if you can cast it before your commander even comes down and then slam your commander, it just keeps the board clean for you to be able to attack with your 3/5 with Menace, because Menace ain't flying.
Yep,
you got to keep the board cleared up as much as possible.
Yes. The third card we want to talk about in this is Stone Idol Generator. This is a new card as well. It is a 5-mana artifact that reads, whenever a creature you control attacks, you get an energy. Fantastic. Then it has a tap ability. Tap and pay 6 energy. Create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact token with trample. Activate only as a sorcery. So this basically reads, pay 5 mana for an artifact that tap makes you a 6/12. Pay 5 mana, 6/12 with trample.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Plus it makes energy on top of that.
Yeah.
When I played this deck, I looked at this card and was like, I don't know, it like 1 6/12. But this is a great way to push yourself over the top, especially if you have like Kaith, where you can populate these giant creatures. It gives you a ton of defense while you're attacking. You can't copy it with Satya because he won't copy tokens, but these are real threats on an energy generator.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. An awesome card. Great way to sink that enormous amounts of energy, which you will be making while playing this deck.
All right, so let's talk about this. This deck definitely it fights itself a little bit. I want to talk about what your goals were going into this upgrade to kind of tie up this Satya deck.
Yeah.
We did go with Satya as the commander.
Yes. Yes, we did. So looking at the deck, originally I actually had a lot of trouble upgrading this because there was a lot of ways to go with it because they had just printed another energy precon.
Yeah.
So I could go back and look just a few months ago, like what were they doing then? And a lot of those cards could just literally slot into this deck and make it a better energy deck. But I just didn't find that interesting, especially because the commander doesn't really care that much about energy. It makes an attacking copy of a creature that you control, and then you can have energy to keep it around, but sometimes you don't care about it sticking around. Sometimes it's fine that it dies because creatures famously have very good death triggers. So I instead chose to build it in a way that it doesn't matter if the creature dies in combat or anything. You just want to get the value of making those tokens. And the other way you want to think about this deck is your commander is going to be attacking every combat. You want them to live through those combats because they are a 3/5 with Menace, which it is not the biggest thing on the board. And eventually after like turn 4 or 5, we'll probably have a little trouble getting through the gummed up boards. So then you'll just stop making copies and you'll stop doing things.
Yeah.
Your deck just kind of falls apart after that.
Yeah, if they have 2 4/4s, or if they have like even like a 1/5 like Omo and a 3/3, you're like, I got it's a stone wall.
Yeah. I'm done for. I'm ruined. That doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I think just making this deck feel more natural and having fewer cards in your hand that you're like, if I copy this, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. So the way I thought about this is the deck already generates energy at a very great rate. Like you'll be stuck with tons of energy and not know what to do with it. So you can sink into making those tokens, but I think the way to build this is to pick creatures that benefit you from attacking or from making ETBs and then also maybe having dealing combat triggers and also having death triggers. So all those things combined into making a very aggressive deck, but also making creatures that sort of double as interaction, because this deck is very low on interaction.
Yes.
It needs to be attacking a lot. And so getting rid of blockers is something I also focused on. Because the deck doesn't really have a good way to win currently. Energy decks just don't really have their big thing that wins the game.
I think this one wants to win with combat, but it doesn't have a lot of great ways to push that combat to a lethal point. Like, it has the Akroma's Will, but if you don't draw the Akroma's Will, you're going to have a little bit of trouble getting 120 life to 0.
Yes.
It's a lot of 6/12s to get them dead from 40. So
yes, that's true. What's the math there? You figured it out.
And like,
put it in the comments.
Your commander isn't that big, and making copies of big things is kind of hard because paying for them with energy eats a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So I love the focus on making sure that you can just get blockers out of the way to push in damage as soon as you start attacking with Satya.
Yes.
Because you don't want that to just be a value attack. You want it to be doing damage. You want your opponents to be not blocking the tokens you're making so you can pay to keep them and make your board actually grow.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Sweet Deck, and we've got some very cool changes to it to make it feel more aggressive and a little less energy dirtily. And we're going to get to those 10 ads and the 10 cards that we're cutting from the deck after a few words from our sponsors.
You know what's crazy? MagicCon Amsterdam is right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I've already started packing.
Wait, it's not that soon, is it? Oh no, what day is it? Is it just Rip Van Winkle myself?
No. Also, I don't know what that reference was, but I did have an auto include that I already threw in my bag. It's my DUER Performance jeans. These things have become a real suitcase staple for me. I went to Japan recently, and there was a ton of walking involved. So my DUER jeans were the ideal travel companion. They're comfortable, high quality, and designed to keep you cool and dry. The best part, though, is just how flexible they are, literally and figuratively. Even when I had no idea what the day would bring, I knew my DUER jeans, they could handle it. 10-mile hike, fancy romantic dinner, chill game night with friends, they were always the perfect fit.
I gotta pack mine too. I'm gonna do a lot of cycling in Amsterdam.
Like a bike tour?
No, like triomes.
Oh, cycling.
See for yourself why DUER is the most wanted denim. I know you'll love these jeans. Visit DUER's flagship stores in LA or Denver, or shop online at shopduer.com/command.
Right now, our listeners get 20% off their first order when you use our exclusive URL, shopduer.com/command. This is an amazing deal. Don't wait, get 20% off your first order right now at shopduer.com/command.
It's High Slime. I introduced myself. I'm Felix Five Boots, the U's and shoes who never loses. My fancy footwear strikes fear into my opponents, but they're also comfy because I stuff my famous boots with BOMBAS. They are the best socks out there, and by golly, they come with all the fixins. Anti-blister tabs, cushioned footbeds that feel like fancy little foot pillows, all soft like. They even got moisture-wicking merino wool and honeycomb arch support. Now, my feet don't have arches, but boy, if they did, woo-wee! And BOMBAS has a 100% happiness guarantee. So if a sock gets eaten by a hog or absorbed into your gelatinous body, they'll do what they can to make it right. Plus, me and BOMBAS, we ain't so different. When you deal combat damage, I give you an extra trigger. Well, when you buy BOMBAS socks, tees, or underwear, they give an extra piece of clothing to someone in need. That's a 2-for-1 even an old slime ball like me can support.
Get comfy this spring and give back with BOMBAS. Head over to bombas.com/commandzone and use code commandzone for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/commandzone and use code commandzone at checkout.
All right, my new deck list is complete. Now, let's see which cards I don't already own and buy them.
Wait, how'd you do that without going through a million boxes?
Oh, I just use ARCHIDEKT. They make it super easy to upload and manage your collection. Then when you're done brewing a deck, you can sort it by collection status to see what you already have.
So this group is just cards you don't own?
Yep, I just click buy this stack and it takes me right to Card Kingdom.
Whoa.
ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/commandzone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/commandzone.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about the Creative Energy MH3 Precon. We are adding 10 cards and taking 10 cards out to get this deck in fighting shape for your next game night. We've talked about what our goals were for this upgrade, so we're going to get right into the upgrade. But just a reminder, we use a budget of $50 at the time of recording to make these upgrades. So hopefully all of these still fit in a $50 budget by the time you're seeing it. But we're going to add 10 cards, and they're all going to be less than $50. Here we go.
All right. So let's start with the only energy generator card that I actually added to this deck.
Right.
And it wasn't actually for the energy generation. I just think this deck needed a finisher that was kind of tricky. So the first card is Electrostatic Pummeler. This is a 1/1 for 3 colorless mana, an artifact creature construct. When this card enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. So for pay 3, get 3 again. And it also has pay 3. Electrostatic Pummeler gets +X until end of turn, where X is its power. So this basically means it doubles its power every time you pay 3 energy. The thinking here is that if you get one of these on board and start attacking with it near when you have, say, 20 to 30 energy, your opponent needs to either block this creature or just have removal ready, because at a certain point, after so many activations of this ability, because you can do it multiple times, they will just be dead out of nowhere. Because one power becomes 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, and then 32, which they're probably lower than that at that point. So, and then
Also so annoying to block.
yeah, so annoying to block.
And
Super
so scary to leave on block.
You're like, I guess I have to block this 1/1 that could just kill my creature or me.
Yeah.
But even better with your commander is that it will generate a copy, give you 3 energy, and then they have to block 2 of them. That's going to feel bad. That's going to be like, I got to block both of these, or one of them will kill me, maybe.
And that's the funny thing about it is, like, once they're blocked, you're like, all right, I'll pay like 6, and I'll kill the thing that blocked it.
Yeah.
And I'll pay 3 energy to keep it.
Yeah. How many times are you going to do that? You can
You're
make
like-
more and more of these? You'll have an army of electrostatic pummelers?
So annoying.
It'll be really annoying.
I like that it's a threat in a box. It's also such an aggressive energy card. It's
Yeah.
surprising that it's not in the deck already.
Yeah, it feels like an easy in to the deck, but I don't
Plus,
know.
it's only 50 cents right now.
Yeah, it's a itty bitty card. Yeah.
I think this is very cool on flavor add.
Yeah.
This next category that we were talking about is to make sure that your 3/5 with Menace can safely attack, so you can get that attack trigger. And, you know, you have a lot of creatures with attack triggers in this deck. You want to make sure that you get that value without losing them in combat.
Absolutely.
Or yoinking back that token.
Yes.
You're like, I made a token copy of Solemn Simulacrum. He's going to die for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to save him.
Yeah. Yes, would love to
Or
say
get
that.
value out of him.
Exactly.
So protection is what we're talking about.
Protection. So the first card here is an oldie but a goodie, Reconnaissance.
Yep.
For 1 white mana, you get an enchantment that reads, pay 0 mana, remove target attacking creature you control from combat, and untap it.
Nice.
A very simple card. But it is fantastic. This is an expensive one based on the rest of the cards, and it was $17 at the time of recording. But yeah, basically, your commander wants to attack every combat. And when this card is out, this says you will attack every combat no matter what, because you don't care if you can actually get through their blockers, because you'll get the attack trigger, then you can pay 0 mana, remove that creature from combat,
Right.
and your commander's safe. It can also remove any of your other creatures that might die in combat and just keep them safe and untap them, which means you have blockers.
Yeah. Reconnaissance is the kind of card that you can use in really tricksy ways. We just addressed this in the Level Up Your Combat episode, but you can use Reconnaissance at any point in combat. So after blockers, when you know a creature's going to die, before blockers, if you're just like, I don't even want to give them blocking triggers or whatever they have, or even after damage, you can remove them from combat, and now they just have vigilance.
Yep.
There's some cool stuff that you can do here, especially when your commander has such an important attack trigger on him.
Yes, exactly. And all for 1 white mana.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Great.
It would be so good to print in one of these
this,
decks.
please.
Really powerful. You should absolutely put it into this deck if you build it.
The next protection card I tossed in here was Rootborn Defenses.
This one's great.
For 25 cents, you get an instant that reads, for 2 colorless and 1 white, you get an instant that reads, Populate. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Very simple, very clean. You make a token copy of a token you already control, which usually will be something threatening that Satya has put on the board, and then you protect all your creatures from bad combat, board wipe, what have you. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, not to mention just casting this in response to a board wipe and protecting your board from your opponent's attacks. Rootborn Defenses does great double duty in this deck. Anytime you can have one card that does 2 things in your deck, so valuable.
Yes, that's very efficient. You want to do that as much as possible because you have 100 slots and you want to just cram as much stuff as you can into those slots. And this does good work.
This next section, we talked about ETBs, powerful ETBs that feel very good when you copy them with Satya, whether you pay to keep them or not.
Yes.
And this first one is one of my favorite cards that they printed in the last couple of years. It's so good in this deck. It's Aerial Extortionist.
Yes.
So this is 3 white for a bird soldier with flying. It's a 4/3. When it enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target non-land permanents. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may cast it. Whenever another player casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card.
That's so good.
So you make a copy of it.
Yeah.
You get that ETB.
Yeah.
And it's attacking already.
Yeah.
And it is flying.
Yeah.
So if it connects, it just kills 2 things. And you didn't even have to pay to keep it at that point.
Yeah. So by playing this creature once and attacking with the commander, you get 3 triggers of this ability, which is nuts.
Pretty good.
That's removing 3 blockers or 3 problematic non-land permanents, and then they can recast them, but you get to draw a card for each one of those.
When you're an aggressive deck, those kind of tempo hits are so important.
Yeah.
You're like, they don't have to be gone forever. They just have to be slower.
Yes.
So if you can get rid of things that are going to, like, big ramp pieces, like Thran Dynamo is a great thing to hit with this kind of stuff.
Right.
Where you don't really want to remove a Gilded Lotus, but
Sure.
if you can get rid of it and set them back a turn, hugely powerful.
Yes.
Not to mention, it's a 4/3 flyer, which is just hurt.
And non-legendary. Just keep making more of them. Just keep doing it, and you'll just keep on doing more and more.
Sold.
It's awesome. It's
also,
a great card.
Bird Lawyer.
Bird Lawyer.
Bird with hands.
50-cent Bird Lawyer. The cheapest lawyer you can find.
I can't believe this card is still this cheap.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
is
so
surprising. It's very surprising, actually.
This next one is your idea and is very clever.
Yeah, this is a weird one because it is a legendary creature. This is Aragorn, King of Gondor. This is a 1 blue and a red and a white for a legendary creature, Human Noble. It is a 4/4 with Vigilance Lifelink that reads, when this card enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. You're the king now. It also reads, when this card attacks, up to 1 target creature can't block this turn. If you're the monarch, creatures can't block this turn. So, the way I see this happening, and obviously your opponents will probably understand what's going on here, but when this card ETBs, you become the monarch, and if you make a copy of it that turn, you don't really get much because the copy will die immediately, presuming from the legendary you're going to choose your copy, which you should. You don't need to copy this card. Copy some other card that turn.
Yeah.
But the next turn that you have this card, whether someone has taken monarch from you or not, because they probably will, because your creature is going to be unblockable. Basically, during combat, when you attack, if you make a copy of this creature, this copy enters, you will become monarch because of the ETB. And it'll die immediately. You don't care. You became monarch. All your creatures are now unblockable for that combat.
Yeah.
That's great. You're getting through.
Huge.
Yeah.
Not to mention just the monarch is a great way to just keep refilling your hand, make sure you're drawing extra cards. And Aragorn is such a serious body.
Yeah.
Like, this is an attack trigger, so you do have to attack with the original non-token one.
Yes.
But is a 4/4 with Vigilance and Lifelink.
Yeah.
And they can't block it.
Yeah.
So it's okay. You can be attacking with it.
Go nuts with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really fun, and it's exactly the kind of pressure that this deck wants, which is just steady combat. Every turn hit you for 6 to 10 damage.
Yeah, exactly. Gain some life, draw some cards off monarch, get the table to fight over the king as well. Like, it just gets things going, and I love this card.
Yeah. And if you played against it in 1v1, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Scary.
He's $1.25 to get Aragorn, King of Gondor.
Yes.
This next one is similar, and we're going all over the place with the universes beyond.
Yeah.
This one's a swooping pteranodon. 3 red, white for a dinosaur. A Jurassic Park dinosaur specifically. It's a 3/3 with flying and haste. When swooping pteranodon or another dinosaur with flying enters the battlefield under your control, gain control of target creature and opponent controls until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains flying and haste until end of turn. At the beginning of the next end step, target land deals 3 damage to that creature.
Yeah.
This is so good in this deck.
So good. It's ridiculous. It's not legendary, so the turn you play this card, it has haste. You will play it, steal a creature immediately.
Yeah.
Then make a copy of it with your commander. You will steal another creature immediately, and then it will see itself. The token will see itself. They will see each other, basically. You will steal a third creature.
It's so good.
It's Zealous Conscript on steroids in the best way possible.
But it steals it and then removes it.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
It's really good in this deck. It's very good.
Anytime you're like making token copies, I do think you should look at this card because it scales so well. If you keep it, the next copy you make, you steal 3 things.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
And start doing 9 damage.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's pretty neat.
So, I mean, this is a $4 card. It's really, really powerful in the deck. And honestly, it's the kind of thing that, like, if you play it after your commander, people are going to look at you and be like, what is this card?
Yeah. What are you doing with dinosaurs?
This is terrible.
This isn't a dinosaur deck.
This did not go well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up next, another big flying threat with a good ETB.
Yeah, I focused a lot on flyers because, again, you want to get in that damage. Like, you want to fly over and get that stuff. So, the next flyer on the list is Vengeful Ancestor. For 2 and 2 red, you get a creature, Spirit Dragon. It's a 4/4 that reads Flying. And whenever this card enters a battlefield or attacks, goad target creature. Whenever a goaded creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to its controller. So, now this card does have an attacks trigger, which, that sucks. But
still has an ETB trigger.
Still has a good ETB, which means as soon as it enters the battlefield, you get to goad 1 creature. Already pretty good. Get them to fight each other.
Yeah.
Then you make a copy of it. You goad another creature. Now, next turn, you'll start goading even more if you start making copies, and then the other second ability where it deals 1 damage, the goaded creature deals 1 damage to its controller, is going to start stacking the more copies of this you have.
Right.
So you're getting a 3/4 that does some damage, but you're also making your opponents fight each other, and they're going to want to fight you when you're making copies of Aragorn and Aerial Extortionist and Swooping Pterodon. Like, they're going to be aiming for you, so this is going to make them fight each other, and hopefully not you.
But this is exactly the kind of snowballing value that you expect to get out of this deck. Like, you want to keep these copies, and you want them to get better the more copies that you have, and your board gets scarier. But you, at this point, you've only committed your commander and the Vengeful Ancestor. Right. And you're like, I have 2 cards on the board, and they're already super scary.
Yes. Right.
And you have all of these energy engines in the deck already that you can kind of be using in the meantime, spending energy to get cards or to make defensive tokens or to, scry or there's a lot of card draw. Right. That's where you can start. You can put your energy resources, or you can use them to keep these copies around, of course. Yeah. You really want this deck to feel snowbally. Like, the longer you have your commander, the longer you have these tokens in play, the scarier things are.
Yes. Yes. It's a good one.
I like it. It's only 50 cents.
Easy peasy. What's next?
Next one's a dragon as well. This is a big chunk of the budget, but it's really important for what this deck needs, which is reach. Making sure that you can deal 40 damage. And Terror of the Peaks is really good at dealing damage.
Yeah.
He was also just reprinted, so he's all the way down to $18, which means he fits in our budget, and hopefully he fits in yours, because he's going to get more expensive again. Yeah. Terror of the Peaks is a 5-mana dragon, 3 red, for a 5/4 with flying. It says spells your opponents cast that target Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life to cast, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target.
Any target. Ooh, that feels good.
It's so good in copy decks because you can cast Terror of the Peaks, and normally you want to follow it up with another creature. You have to pay more mana. Right. But in this deck, all you have to do is attack with your commander, make a copy of Terror of the Peaks, and you immediately have 5 damage. So you can cast Terror of the Peaks on curve, where normally you're afraid to commit it to the board. Yeah. That early.
That's very good.
And then you have 2 Terror of the Peaks, and people are like,
you're the Terror of the Peaks at that point. Good Lord.
If you have enough mana or energy to keep that thing around, they're in big trouble. They're in big trouble.
Yeah, this one you keep around. This one for sure you keep.
Save your pennies. Pinch your energy counters.
This baby can fit so much terror in it. Keep this one.
Yeah, I think Terror of the Peaks, or this kind of effect, is exactly what this deck needs to make sure that your combat damage is moving you toward the goal of death. Yes. Of course.
Their death, not yours.
Yeah. You survive. You've got the dragon.
Yeah.
$18 for Terror of the Peaks and worth every penny.
Yes. All right, next up is Port Raiser. This is 3 and red for a creature orc pirate. It's a 4/4 that reads, when Port Raiser deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. Port Raiser can't attack a player it has already attacked this turn.
Oh.
No, so this has a lot of weird restrictions that don't seem good at first glance, but think about this. You play this card on curve. It actually fits really well with your commander. It's a 5-drop. Find a player that's open. Find someone that has, not a blocker or probably won't block. They probably will because it's a 4/4. Yeah. But you'll make a copy of it that's tapped and attacking immediately. And when you do, you'll get another combat, which means that you can attack with your commander again, which means you make another copy of this.
As long as they can deal this orc can deal damage, you will keep attacking.
Yeah. Now, obviously, that when you make another copy, it says it can't attack a player it has already attacked this turn. But when you make a copy, it enters tapped and attacking, which just completely just goes over this rule. You can attack that player again and again until you just have non-stop combats until they're probably dead at that point.
How when does your commander sacrifice? Is it at end of turn?
It's at end of turn, yeah.
So you just keep making orcs that whole time?
I mean, yeah, as long as... Yeah. And then the other orcs can attack the other players. Yeah, exactly. So
like, I got orcs to spare. Don't worry, there's more where that came from.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll just make a bunch of 4/4s that keep attacking, and hopefully you can also obviously play this card when you have your other cards that, either Aragorn or... I mean, if you have Aragorn, you just kind of win.
You definitely win.
You just kind of win the game at that point because you will unstoppably attack.
Yeah.
Or the Aerial Extortionist or Swooping Pterodon that will just remove the blockers every combat, which is fantastic. So
yeah, I mean, this is definitely a way to take infinite combats if you're in the right situation.
Yes.
And if they remove it before you go to combat, then great. But that's a very small window.
Yeah.
This kind of thing is very, very powerful, but in a deck that is so reliant on attacking and is so aggressive, I think this kind of combo is super valuable.
Yeah. This is the kind of stuff you need that Energy just doesn't really have I win most of the time with this or this card yet. It just doesn't have that yet. And so you have to think outside the box. And this is one of those ways. This is how you do it.
I love that. Port Raiser's only $1.25 at this point. So pick them up.
Yeah, go get them.
There's one more extra combat effect that I looked at this and I was like, what? You meant the other one, right?
No.
It's Éomer Marshal of Rohan. This is 2 red for a legendary creature, Human Knight. He's a 4/4 with haste. Whenever one or more other attacking legendary creatures you control die, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. This ability triggers only once each turn.
Yes, this is another weird one in that it is legendary. So as soon as this comes down, if you make a copy with it, it will die. Now, if you're making a copy with your commander, it's entering combat, attacking, which means that the original will see the copy die during attacking, during combat, which means it will immediately trigger its ability and give you an extra combat.
Yeah.
So with this, you will get 2 combats every combat. You can also choose at any point to basically make it a 3rd combat because you can just sack this one instead of the copy.
Right.
Because the ability only triggers once per card. But as soon as you make a copy, that's a new instance of it. And then obviously you can't copy it anymore because you can't copy the token version.
Right.
But you can get 2 combats every turn or 1 turn of 3 combats.
Right.
Which with the other cards that we've already talked about, Terror of the Peaks or Swooping Pterodon, you're going to be doing a lot during those combats.
Yeah, extra combats is so valuable because eventually, you don't want to copy Éomer anymore. It's not going to work. So you can copy something else. You can push through for more damage on that second combat because you've already gotten that extra combat.
Yeah.
It's just a nice way to steadily have your extra combats and keep making tokens and keep applying pressure and making sure you can do all this as fast as possible.
Yeah. One thing before we move on, I forgot to mention, Swooping Pterodon also has the ability, the same thing that Zealous Conscript does, where when you can steal someone's creature, you can take their commander, and then you can actually copy that commander with Satya, which means you make a copy of it, and then you can just legend rule that to kill their original, which means they'll never get their commander back. It's commander removal in a very mean way, but it's a way to get rid of their commander. Like, it's pretty cool.
And this deck is so low in interaction. Something that can apply pressure and interact with scary things that are happening on the board is super important.
It's very good.
This is a lot of interaction. Swooping Pterodon will steal blockers. Terror of the Peaks can shoot them. Vengeful Ancestor is goading. Aerial Extortionist is effectively bounce. And then Aragorn is like, what blockers?
What blockers?
You thought you were safe? You're never safe.
Yeah.
This is great. I mean, these cards really mean like I am an aggressive deck. I'm winning in combat, and I'm using these really powerful effects to push combat over the top to be able to win in a commander situation. And we're plenty under budget. The total for these 10 cards that we're adding to the deck is $43.75. Got some room to spare for some fancy versions, to pick up some blingy lands. I don't know.
Upgrade the land base. That's definitely what I would do.
Yeah, for spend sure. $7 on another cool duel. Before we go into the cards to cut, we did want to talk about some additional adds that you could put into this deck from the MH3
The main set, yeah.
The main set, yeah. Guide of Souls is a really good option. This is the new Soul Sister that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and get 1 energy. So it's going to give you, like, making a token copy of this gives you the energy to keep it, and you're going to do all this life gain for your attacky deck. But then it also says whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, you may put 2 +1/+1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types. Oh my gosh. That's our commander into the sky.
Awesome. That's awesome. Making a 5/7 that flies. That's awesome. And you could do it multiple times.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I mean, that just works. Like Guide of Souls, you play your commander, it gives you the energy for that. Then when you attack with your commander, which has haste, it gives you the 2 energy back. So you get 2 energy to spend into the 3 immediately. Just
so
those
good.
2 creatures.
So good. And then you start making copies of this. You can obviously only do this 2 counters thing once per turn, but you have more than 1 copy of it.
There you go.
You start going. Just make a big commander. Just Voltron Satya at that point. Like,
that's awesome.
That's with a 1 mana card.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, that curve is pretty unstoppable. I feel like if you're building this deck, the first thing you need to do is find a Guide of Souls to put into the deck. One I really liked too was Emissary of Soulfire. This is a 3-mana one. It's a 1 white-blue, so Azorius. When it enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy, and then it says pay energy. So pay 2 energy. Put an exalted counter on target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. So this isn't quite as efficient as Guide of Souls, but it's a great thing to copy, and it's a great place to put energy that you're not using to buff Satya big enough so they always have a safe attack.
Yeah. Namely doing Exalted, because if Satya is the only one that you declare as an attacker, Exalted will trigger, and you will still get a copy that is attacking of another creature.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's fantastic. And then you can start putting Exalted counters on that creature if you keep it around, and so forth and so on. So this is, it's a great card. Great card to have in this deck.
There's a lot to mention. There's a lot of cards in this deck that in this set, in the main set, that just make energy incidentally. And if you're going more of an energy direction, then those are all good cards to look at twice. We're going to mention one more that gives you the reach that this deck really wants, and that's Aether Revolt. Do you want to read this one?
Yeah, Aether Revolt is an enchantment for 2 and red. It reads, Revolt. As long as a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. And then it reads, whenever you get 1 or more energy, Aether Revolt deals that much damage to any target.
So that's your non-combat damage, is the damage this enchantment does.
Anytime you gain energy, zap them.
And then it's plus 2 as long as a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn.
Yeah. So
one of your tokens or a treasure or any number of things.
Things are always leaving the battlefield, especially if you're making copies of stuff, which is fantastic. Now, obviously, this can trigger with Terror of the Peaks as well if you're doing non-combat damage. But
absolutely.
just by itself as an enchantment, this is the kind of card you want to get that reach.
Right.
That actually plays with energy as well. It's very good.
It puts all that energy, it turns all the energy production and it turns it into something aggressive, which is what you really, really want.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to make energy in this deck, and not a lot of them necessarily further the plan of doing more damage right now. And Aether Revolt definitely does.
Yeah, and it's not even spending that energy, just when you generate that damage.
Yeah,
that energy.
it's wild.
It's great. It's fantastic. So, yeah, this is another one. And like Rachel said, there are a bunch of other energy cards in the main set as well. But these are the ones we thought were worth mentioning that actually synergize very well with with the Satya.
And that didn't already come in the deck. There's a number of main set cards in the deck already. These are just not included.
Yeah.
So take a look at those as well.
Yes.
Of course, we've added 10 cards to the deck. That means we have to take 10 cards out to make room for them.
Yes.
And we've alluded to a few of these already, but let's talk a bit about these 10 cards we are cutting.
Yes. First one, as we had mentioned before, is Filigree Racer. This is this is an artifact vehicle for 3 and a red. It reads, when it enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy, so a pretty good rate. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 2 energy. When you do, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains a jump start until end of turn, crew 1, and it is a 5/5 vehicle. Sorry, I didn't mention that before. As we had mentioned before, it's sort of a non-bow with your commander because even if you crew this and attack with your commander, you will make a copy of it, but as soon as it enters the battlefield, you're going to get that energy, but then it will stop being a creature as soon as it hits because it's no longer crewed.
Right.
And this deck doesn't do instant sorceries. Like, it has a few, but that's not its thing.
Definitely not the primary mode that the deck is doing. It works a lot in creatures and in artifacts, so it's a little bizarre that it gives you the ability to jumpstart something, even though that's clearly a card joke.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's just hard to make all of the parts of this that are weird work.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it belongs here.
The next one we cut is also a new card. It's Aether Refinery. It's 4 red for an artifact. It says if you would get 1 or more energy counters, you get twice that many energy counters as instead. And then it says tap, you get an energy, and then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX black Aetherborn creature token where X is the amount of energy paid this way. So I know we said that like the 5-mana artifact that makes big tokens is one of the better cards in the deck, and this one we're taking out.
Yeah.
There's a number of differences.
Yeah.
This one makes 2 energy when you tap it, but you have to sink like so much energy into it to be good.
Yeah, it comes down. It also just comes down way too late for it to.
4 red is a
it.
ton of mana, and we put a lot of 5-drops into this deck, 4 and 5-drops, where it's just like we'd rather be casting one of those than this big artifact that doesn't necessarily further the plan that Satya has.
Right. Yeah. The tokens don't have any sort of evasion or anything.
Can't copy
They're
them.
just generic big dudes. Maybe they're big anyways. You can make you can make lots of blockers, but it just doesn't do what we want.
Yeah, it doesn't give you the threats for as cheap as we want them. And the fact that they don't have trample or flying or menace or anything that makes them actually good in combat means this card is not as good as we want it to be.
Yes.
This one's new too.
Yeah, and we're a little puzzled as to why it's in the deck. Silverquill Lecturer is a creature, core wizard for 4 and a white. It's a 3/3 that reads, creature spells you cast have demonstrate, which if you don't remember, which I didn't remember, demonstrate is whenever you cast a creature spell, you may copy it. If you do, choose an opponent to also copy it. Each copy becomes a token. So this is making tokens of creatures that you're casting, but then also giving your opponent the chance to do the same. Mm-hmm. I don't think is very good.
Not in an aggressive deck where you're trying to get through. Don't give them free blockers.
Don't give them free blockers or things that also steal creatures away, like swooping pterodons.
Yeah,
or like,
that would be bad.
It's going to be so weird if you give everybody an Aragorn. Like, it's a strange card that's in this deck, and I don't know why.
I think it makes more sense with Kaith in the command zone. It gives you a big token to populate.
Yeah,
if you're doing Kaith and you're doing populating like copies of creatures that make sense. But the deck doesn't naturally have a ton of populate in it.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to take advantage of this, especially when your commander explicitly wants to attack. And isn't very good at getting through, especially when they have creatures they do not care about keeping around.
Right.
So it's just not quite good enough. Not to mention it's just a 3/3 on the ground. It's really terrible to copy.
Yeah, exactly. It does nothing for a copy.
I guess if you have a copy, then you could demonstrate a thing twice.
Double demonstrate? Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Then you're making a lot of copies, but you're also giving away a lot of copies.
Creature spells you have cast have demonstrate. Can a creature spell have double demonstrate? Is that a thing? I don't know.
I mean, they're cast triggers. I think you could have two.
I guess so. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may copy it. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, I don't
know.
I think this is a really cool card. I do not think it makes sense in an aggressive deck.
No.
It's a kind of card that I would play to throw a weird wrench into a game.
Yeah.
But it's not. If I'm trying to attack, I'm not giving you stuff.
Yeah.
I need to get through your stuff.
It feels like a card that goes in like a group hug deck or something. Where you can go, I got a value creature and I got two of them. You want one of them?
Do you want one?
Isn't that cool?
We can be buds.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a weird one.
Okay, the next card we are cutting is Scurry of Gremlins. This is from the main set. It's an enchantment for 2 red white. When it enters, it makes 2 red gremlin creature tokens. Then you get an amount of energy equal to the number of creatures you control. So it makes a lot of energy. Then it has pay 4 energy. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. This is okay. It's gives you some energy. I will say that when I played this deck, I didn't have like tons of creatures.
Yeah.
Like I had 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So it's like 4 mana, get 4 energy, buff things once. So I guess it gives you 2 creatures, so I'd make 6 energy.
Sure.
But it's just not enough of an anthem. It's not enough of an energy generator. It's not enough of a token maker.
Yeah.
And the deck just doesn't want to go wide that bad.
Yes. Next one is Aether Geode Miner. This is a creature, Dwarf Scout for 1 and a white. It is a 3/1 that reads, when Aether Geode Miner attacks, you gain 2 energy. When it attacks, you get 2 energy. And then you can pay 2 energy to exile Aether Geode Miner, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you can blink it. So you get that energy back when you blink it, but you just paid 2 energy.
To save it.
And you also only get the energy on attacks triggers, which means if you make a copy of it, it's already entering the battlefield attacking. You don't get that energy. And it's also a 3/1 with no evasion, which you'll probably never have a chance to do anything with. It just feels weird.
If this thing flew, if this was a 1/2 that flew, and now we're talking, but a 3/1 on the ground that makes 2 energy, that's never going to have a safe attack. And you don't want to pay, like, if you're just paying the 2 energy you just made to blink this thing, then it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, it's doing nothing.
It hasn't done anything.
It's done absolutely nothing. So
it's made a creature enter the battlefield twice.
Yeah, exactly. It's a strange one. Yeah.
Up next is Aether Sphere Harvester. This is another vehicle that when it enters, you get 2 energy, and you can pay energy to give it lifelink. Otherwise, it's a 3/5 with flying.
Cool.
Yeah. You make a token copy of this, and it's not attacking.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get 2 more energy, but I don't think this snowballs the way you want it to. You need creatures to crew vehicles. Having a lot of vehicles doesn't mean you have a lot of attackers. It means you have a lot of things you need to crew.
Yeah. It's really sad when a really, really rich guy just has a bunch of cars in his garage.
Yeah, you can only drive one.
I got no one to drive my cars.
This is Jay Leno's deck. He just keeps making copies of cars.
Do you like my cars?
Jay, who drives these? I pay someone to drive these.
Oh, Jay.
Oh.
All right. What's next? We got Mere Battlespear, another oldie. Not a goodie in this sense, but it is a 7 mana artifact creature, Mere Construct. It is a 4/7 that reads, when Mere Battlesphere enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless Mere artifact creature tokens. Okay, pretty good. When Mere Battlesphere attacks, you may tap X untapped Mere you control. If you do, this card gets +X/+0 until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. So the idea here is that you can make a Mere Battlesphere and make 4 Meres, and then you could start attacking with the Mere Battlesphere and start doing damage directly to the player or planeswalker. It's a 4/7, so usually will survive a combat maybe.
Yeah.
And then if you make a copy of this, it'll enter the battlefield tapped and attacking, which means it can't
do its laser gun.
Yeah, it can't do the attack trigger because it's already attacking. So, it's a 7-drop that just doesn't do much in our deck.
I think Mere Battlesphere is best when you're doing welder things and you can put it onto the battlefield and sack it and put it back onto the battlefield and sack it. So you're not just spending 7 mana to cast this thing. You make a token copy of it, make a ton of mirrors, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, this card's probably fine in the deck, but we're trying to lower the curve and make it much more aggressive so you can get under the decks you're playing against.
Yes.
And Battlesphere is more of a top end than the deck needs, probably.
Yep, absolutely.
Up next, we are cutting Coveted Jewel. I love this card. It's also great in welder decks. When it enters, you draw 3 cards, and it taps to add 3 mana of any one color. It's 6 mana. It says whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you and aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards and gains control of Coveted Jewel. Untap it.
Giving cards to opponents is usually pretty bad.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
The best way to use Coveted Jewel is to play Coveted Jewel and either copy it a whole bunch and sack them all, or to, again, welder it, put it on the battlefield, draw 3 cards, tap it for mana, sack it, bring it back. That's where this card is maximum power level.
Yep.
Otherwise, this is a very, very risky thing to put on the battlefield, especially in a deck that is not designed to defend itself.
Yeah, no, you're going to be attacking all the time, sideways most creatures. So it feels like this won't do anything for you. Your commander can't copy it. It doesn't really gain a benefit from having it in the deck. So we're chucking it. We're chucking it. All right, next up is Aether Squall Ancient. This is a creature Leviathan for 5 and 2 blue, a 7-drop. That's a 6/6. It has flying, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 3 energy. And then you can pay 8 energy, return all other creatures to their owner's hands, activate only as a sorcery. So, this is a 7-drop that probably by the time it comes down, you'll...
4th board wipe. Why did I not notice that?
That's true.
That's another board wipe.
This is another board wipe that's tacked onto a creature.
Yeah.
That's weird. That is weird. We didn't consider that. Yeah.
We don't need 4 board wipes.
We don't
deck,
need 4 board wipes. And this is on a creature that you'll play. If you pay 7, you'll probably have 8 energy to do the thing.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a 6/6 flyer, but that's not going to kill 3 people who are all going to start rebuilding and get their ETBs again. And
yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't do anything in this deck. And getting energy on your upkeep is like, meh.
It doesn't snowball the way that you want this kind of stuff to do. It's also, 7 mana?
It's 7 mana.
Yeah, it's very expensive. But copying this just gives you another big flyer, which is okay. You will eventually win the game that way. But I think we've got better ways to use our mana or our energy, and we have better ways to use our mana.
Yes.
Playing a 5-mana creature that interacts with our opponents is just going to be better than playing a 7-mana thing that also forces us to rebuild.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
One more. Era of Innovation. 1 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever an artifact or artificer enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, you get energy. Then pay 6 energy, sacrifice Era of Innovation, draw 3 cards. There are not enough artifacts to regularly trigger this. The tokens that you make aren't artifacts. Your commander isn't an artifact. There's some in the deck, but they're not enough to really rely on this being an energy generator, and you have plenty of those.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
That's the cuts.
Those are the 10 that we're taking out, mostly lowering the curve and just cutting some things that feel weird in your hand.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm not sure what exactly I'm supposed to do with
it. Doesn't really
this.
synergize with Satya, so...
And... so we've added 10 cards, we've taken 10 cards out. Let's talk about what the deck looks like now that we've done the upgrade. How do you expect this game plan to play out?
So basically you want to be attacking as much as possible with your commander, especially if you have any good creatures you can copy. Now, that means usually by turn 4, where you're playing commander, maybe turn 3, you want at least 1 value creature if you can get it. And that could be, if you get your commander on turn 3, you could do a Solemn Simulacrum on turn 4, which is, small value. It'll probably die. You'll draw a card. You'll ramp a little bit. Fantastic. Now, turn 5 is when you start playing those bigger cards and you want to start really making a play for dealing some damage to people, doing some shenanigans where you take their creatures and attack them with them, or goad creatures. And once you have something to copy, you just want to milk it for all it's worth.
Oh, yeah.
If you got a good creature on the board, start making copies, start paying the energy to keep it around, because you'll have the incidental energy from attacking with your commander and all the other small energy stuff that is in the deck. I don't think I would play my commander unless I had something to copy, honestly.
I agree.
Like, there's no reason to. It has haste, it has menace. Like, unless you can one, make sure your commander doesn't die during the attack and get the value from that copy, I don't think there's a reason to play your commander until it's just ready to go. There has to be a board set up for it.
I would probably, I really would want a creature on the battlefield the turn that I play my commander. I think, like, if you do 1 mana nothing, 2 mana, turn 2, Talisman, turn 3, I would do Solemn first, and then follow it up with my commander, copy Solemn. Rather than play my commander, attack for 3, then play Solemn next turn and get a copy.
Right.
It's just too risky. But having those early drops, like Solemn, feels really synergistic in the deck. It feels like exactly what you want to be doing with that, with Solemns, because you sacrifice them so you draw cards even if they don't survive combat.
Absolutely.
Or if they don't survive combat.
And then you want to attack just every turn. And hopefully, if you can, multiple times a turn with the cards we've added. And there also is another multiple combat card in the deck. So it seems like they did have some idea in the deck, like, oh, multiple combats might be a way for this deck to win. So we just added more of those and added more creatures that benefit from you entering that combat and removing the blockers. And getting
making sure you're punching through for that damage.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. I mean, there's an interesting conversation to be had here, because this is the second energy, Jeskai energy precon that has come out inside of a few months of each other.
Yeah.
And they look very different.
They do, yeah. So the last one, Science, was... the main commander was Liberty Prime, I believe.
Madison Lee?
Madison Lee was Madison Lee was the main commander, which actually... Madison Lee's a very different commander. Almost the flip side of this, which is she's sort of the toolbox energy commander. So Madison Lee could go in this deck because she has a lot of activated abilities that let you pay energy to draw cards and do other things. But you wouldn't make a copy of Madison Lee. Like, that doesn't do anything. So she doesn't really belong in this deck if you're building it the way that we've built it here.
Right.
So,
but I think if you're interested in building sort of like the dirtily like assemble a machine energy deck,
right,
I think Madison Lee or Liberty Prime are much better engines for all of this energy than the two commanders that are the commander of this precon.
Right.
Because, like, while Satya does really neat stuff, it doesn't really rely on energy. He makes his own energy, and, like, you don't really need to keep the tokens all the time. You can, and this deck is designed to keep the tokens all the time.
Right.
But it's not exactly going to give you the feeling of like a value energy pile.
Yeah.
This is an aggressive deck, and it wants to be attacking, and it needs your blockers out of the way, and it doesn't care about what you're doing, as long as it can't block.
Yes.
So I think if you're looking for a like a weldery, engine-y, an energy deck, I would take some of the pieces from this deck, some of the new cards, and put it into Madison Lee or put it into Liberty Prime, because I don't know if these are the energy droids we've been looking for.
Yeah, like I said, the only energy card I added was one electrostatic pummeler, which, like I said, the deck already has 32 energy cards. I pulled out a few from the cuts we made, and it can still generate quite a bit of energy, but it just doesn't need that much to do what it's doing. And what it needs to do is attack and get those value ETBs and death triggers and multiple combats to actually win the game. So this is a sort of, it's an energy deck, but it is sort of the secondary thing of the deck, really.
Right.
It wants to be attacking as much as possible.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it's a token deck before it's even an energy deck, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know if I'd include any energy in a Kaith deck.
Yeah, that's true. Like we said, it could just be a value artifact deck that doesn't have energy at all.
Anyway, the world's your oyster. You got lots of energy options at this point. If you want to do an aggro energy strategy, Satya's your guy. If you want to hang out and assemble a machine, look to Madison Lee.
Yeah.
And if you want to bonk with a robot, this is Liberty Prime.
Liberty Prime. I'm sure Bloomberg is going to have a third Jeskai energy.
I'm
deck.
sure. Yeah.
There's robots on there too. I'm sure. So wait for that
squirrels.
one.
No, it's hamsters and
Oh,
wheels.
yeah, there you go. Ooh, that'd be so cool, actually.
All right, now I'm into it. Now I want
kinda
this.
want that,
No,
yeah.
no.
It'd be super cute.
To the listeners, what do you think of this Precon? Any cards we missed to add to it? Any cards we suggested to take out or even add that you disagree with? We're always curious about your opinions. If you're building this deck, how are you building it? Because there's a lot of changes that could be made if you're building Satya from the ground up, or maybe you're building Kaith and making a few more changes yourself. Cool things abound. If you want to buy any of the cards that we talked about today, we talked about a ton of very cool ones, including some new ones from MH3. Go to cardkingdom.com/command. They have a huge selection of singles and sealed product for MH3 and all the sets. If you're like me and you tend to shop a little late, you can get your Thunder Junction singles.
What happened, Rachel?
I don't sit down and like put my list together for a few weeks after a set is really settled. And I just don't get there. But MH3 is going to have a ton of sweet new cards for your commander deck. So if you're like me and you want to buy 5 of this and 3 of that and 2 of those and just throw them all into one big cart, Card Kingdom has got you covered. And they have the professionalism to make sure that the cards that you order are the ones that arrive in your mailbox, safe, taped in a little plastic container with a token and a single packing peanut. I love it.
Aww.
You know what I mean? Like a little treat.
It's cute. I eat it every time.
I was going to say the same thing. Cardkingdom.com/command. Don't eat the packing peanut.
Don't do that. Oh, no. We're going to get a lot of emails about that.
And once those cards are in your hand, you're going to need to protect them. Go to ultrapro.com/command to pick up the highest quality Magic accessories in the business. All these super cool MH3 commanders, many of them have playmats. There's even the playmat that has all of the portraits again. Which they did for the Commander Masters, I believe.
I think so, yes.
They're super cool, and it's this cool like pop art feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're into that, go check out. There's like a binder, and I think there's sleeves that have the portrait arts, and then there's a playmat that has a ton of them. So there's cool stuff going on at Ultra Pro. Sign up for the newsletter so you're always on the up and up with what's going on their website. Get those deals and all of the products that go out of stock very, very quickly. So ultrapro.com/command.
Nice.
Before we go, we wanted to move to the end step and have, normally we'll talk about something outside the world of Magic, but today we're going to talk about something outside the world of Commander that we've been doing at the office.
Yeah, outside the world of America, actually.
It
all
is.
the way from up north in Canada, Canadian Highlander.
We've been doing it.
Yeah.
We've been playing Canadian Highlander at lunch.
And loving it.
In the office, there's like 5 or 6 of us that have decks at this point.
Dozens. There's dozens of us.
There's dozens of us.
And growing all the time. Canadian Highlander, if you don't know, is a format. It's a 1v1 format, but it is a 100-card singleton format with no commander. And there is basically a pseudo ban list, which is a point list, which means the cards that are super powerful, say Ancestral Recall, has a pointed value, and your deck can have up to 10 points. So Ancestral Recall is 8 points, which is a large chunk of any deck that has it. But a Mox Emerald is only 3 points. So using that sort of deck building restriction, you can make all sorts of very cool decks. And we've been building our own and looking at the lists that have been played on North 100, which is the Loading Ready Run podcast that they do, which is we love. We're big fans. And so me, Rachel, and a bunch of people here have built decks, and we've been doing 1v1. And it's a very different energy than Commander because
it's better for lunch. It's shorter.
Yes, 100% better for lunch. We only get an hour break, just like everybody else for lunch. And oftentimes a Commander game is only gotten to like turn 5 or 6, and we're nowhere near the end. And it's like, all right, I gotta
go back to work.
And that just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So
we've been playing Canadian Highlander at lunch. I have a Death and Taxes list and
mono white.
Mono white Death and Taxes, and then I have a mono red Goblins list that's very aggressive.
He's been beating us with mono colors where most of the powerful decks are like 4 colors.
It's cheap, baby. It also means I get to play Mana Crypt and 1v1, which is fun.
That's true, yes.
And then I've been playing my partner's Fast Bond Time Walk list, which has been really fun. It's like Wheels and Hull Breacher and Fast Bond and Strip Mines.
Breacher.
It's a big pile of mean cards, and it's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been playing a Jeskai deck. Jeskai has been as you can tell, one of my favorite color triomes since the Cons era. And so this is a deck that just plays all the good value stuff from Jeskai, including Aragorn, King of Gondor. It's a very good card, as we mentioned in 1v1, but it plays, Snapcaster Mage and just about all the good counter spells and basically wins through tempo plays.
Yeah, it's pretty mid-rangey as far as like a blue control deck goes.
Yeah. It has a few planeswalkers and really has to, it probably takes a few beatings, gets to like 5 life and then stabilizes and then goes for the win then. But that was my first deck and I love it. And my second deck that I just built is an Abzan food deck, which has a bunch of the new Hobbits.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And like some random stuff from Doctor Who.
Yes, yeah. Astrid Peth, I believe, is the card.
That's her.
It's really good. That's a really good card. But it's a food-based deck, and this one isn't like a very good meta list, but I think Surge built it from Loading Ready Run, which I saw, and I was like, oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I wanted an Abzan deck because it was another one of my favorite tricolor pairings from Cons era. And, I included like Siege Rhino because I love my weird boomer card that existed back then. But it does...
I want to play Siege Rhino.
I want to play Siege Rhino.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the fun thing about Canadian Highlander is it is singleton, so you do get to like... There are slots that you get to make personal or meta choices where you're like, I don't know if this is necessarily the best card in this slot, but it's quite good and it's good in my meta.
Yeah.
So, you get to a little bit more creative control than you would in other competitive formats.
Yeah.
And it's been a ton of fun. It really makes you flex your muscles and think through things, and it gets very complicated. And we've been having a ton of fun.
We really enjoy it. I've been really enjoying 1v1 as a change from Commander just because you get to really flex your skill muscles that are different from politicking and other things. You have to consider so many things in a Commander game where it's just 1v1. It's a much more narrow view.
The margins are so much thinner when you're playing 1v1.
Yeah. And also, like, it's way less consistent. There's no commander that you're playing from. So basically, every game could be very different and usually is a best of 3 format most of the time. So you will play 3 games and whoever wins 2 wins that set. And we've been loving it. Go out and check out Loading Ready Runs.
Yeah, watch North 100.
It's so good. I think they put up like a game every couple weeks.
Yeah, that sounds right. They do set reviews as well for Canadian Highlander type stuff.
Yes.
And the way we started our meta is just Eric was like, hey, we're doing this. Yeah. And we were like, I guess, all right, we'll do it. And he's like, tomorrow? So it was just one person that had steady pressure and now there's like a bunch of us that have decks and we've been playing a lot. So if you're into Canadian Highlander, ask your friends. Apply a little pressure, see if they're into it. Yeah. It's a ton of fun.
It's super fun. Give it a shot.
Before we go, we're going to say thank you to our amazing team here at the Command Zone. Thank you to Damon Lentz, Eric Lem, Megan Yip, Gaurav Galati, who's here. You just normally go in that slot.
I was like, my name's not there.
Jordan Pridgeon, Jamie Block, Arthur Mettercraft, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Jake Boss, Sam Waldo, Evan Limburger, Katie Cole, Mitch Trafford, Josh Lee Kwai, Jimmy Wong, and to Gaurav Galati, who goes at the end because you're special help for this deck. So I really appreciate the time that you take to make this upgrade.
Absolutely. So much fun. Thank you for having me.
I went into the rhythm of the poker app and just put your name in.
Wow. Impressive. Go you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
For your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter @JFWong and @JoshLeeQuai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.